Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Larry Duncan Allen. This is No More Water, Fire Next Time. I came on a little early today because I have some things to do later tonight. But there's one issue that I wanted to address. And, there's on my heading it says we just want to be left alone. The reason I say that, it seems like the more we try to mind our own business instead of the other people's business, they are approaching us, trying to draw us into their business. But all the other times they wanted nothing to do with us. Now it's white people. It was Latinos and people of color and trying to get us to come out there and get shipped off to El Salvador with them or alligator Alcatraz with them. Now it's white people who want to bother us. They're building all white towns and the black people are upset. Who do they see that's upset? That's them thinking we're gonna be upset. But we're not, because it's nothing new. Most people in this nation already live in all white towns because black people, once you get out of metropolitan areas, most of it's white. I could drive from St. Louis to Chicago. You may see some black people. I said this before. You may see some black people in Springfield, Illinois. When you get to Springfield, all in between, it's all white. Once you get out of the St. Louis metropolitan area, then you may see if get out the Springfield metropolitan area, you may see some black people around Bloomington, around the Illinois State University. Once you leave there, you don't see more black people until you get around to the Chicago suburbs. And then you have states in this nation that barely has any black people in it. And white people have to understand, we don't care about what you do. We never really just wanted to be around you. The only reason black people wanted integration was because the you wouldn't let us have our own. After slavery up to around the 1930s, black people tried to build their own communities. They didn't try, they did. It was very prosperous. There was black cowboy towns all out west. White folks saw the black people was prospering, burnt it down. Everyone knew about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there were many Tulsas. Rosewood, Florida. Everywhere where black people prospered, it was burnt down, and the prosperous black people were killed because white people didn't want to see black people prosper, and it was sanctioned by the government because law enforcement helped. They actually bombed Tulsa by air. But see, what you have to realize is that we never cared about living around you. The only reason black people wanted integration was because you wouldn't let us have our own. Yet, black people saw what our tax dollars was going to fund libraries, swimming pools, parks, but we couldn't use them. And the integration started where if you're going to take our money, we want to be able to use this also, not just to be around white people. We never cared that much about being around you. Black people don't care about you getting your own towns. We tried it and you wouldn't let us. You got your own towns anyway. It's nothing new. You go all up in Wyoming, North Dakota. How many black people you see up there? Oh, you got a lot of Indians up there, and they were complaining about the college football team, University of North Dakota, uh, being too black. These were Indians, though, saying that. But why don't you learn how to play some football and get on the team? So that's why I say, no one wanted to live around us. We didn't want to live around you. We go for the goods and services, not for you. You never would let us have our own. You tore ours up, and then sit up and make fun of us and create stereotypes about us when we don't have anything. Because you have to have someone to look down on. Had you, if you leave us alone and let us prosper, you wouldn't have someone to look down on. And we're still not going to come and work your farms. I know that's what you're counting on, us coming to work your farms. If you want to call somebody lazy, that's why you had to go get slaves. You was too lazy to pick your cotton and work your farms and build your infrastructure. You were too lazy. You didn't start working on the infrastructure until you got the machinery to do it. Until then, black people was your machinery. Then when black people stopped working the farms and picking cotton and whatever type of vegetation you had, you wouldn't start bringing in immigrants because you're too lazy to do it yourself and got to know to call someone lazy. So why are you talking about black people come pick it? That's what Trump said. They're taking the blacks' job. What makes you think they're not whites' jobs? Because he know white people too lazy to do it. They're too lazy. We're not gonna do it though. Any black folks want to go out there and do that, that's on them. But I doubt if you see in numbers any black people going out there. You raise it up to about at least about $25, $30 an hour, maybe. No black people going out there for minimum wage all day long, picking. But we shouldn't pick it at no cost. Let them go under. The whole nation go under. Let it go under. We'll be okay either way it goes. We're used to certain things. They're not. We're used to not having everything go our way. They're not. So build. I mean, it's just when they say they're going to build their own towns, it's just to stir up stuff. Cause they know don't nobody care because they know there's white towns all over this nation. And if they want to live in an all white town, they can go do it. You don't have to say anything. Most of the time they call it sundown towns anyway. Be some old crappy place black people don't want to come to anyway. What we want to come to Redneck Junction for? So you're wasting your time. But stay out of ours. You said we need to start some sundown towns, our own sundown town. You get out of our town before nightfall. See, we're too lenient. We're too lenient. We let people just do things to us and we never strike back, except against each other. We don't care about anyone in the town of their own because we tried it and you wouldn't let us. You burnt ours down. But and it's nothing new, like I say. You got white towns all over this nation. Towns that's already all white. So what do we care? You have states in this nation, barely have black people in it. You see once you leave from the like I said, once you leave out of the large metropolitan areas, you barely find a black person. Drive from St. Louis to Kansas City. You see some black people maybe around Columbia. The rest of the way you're gonna see all white people, all white towns. Same way going, like I said about going from St. Louis to Chicago. You're not gonna see black people all over the state. So who cares about you getting your own towns? Get them. Just leave us alone. We try to have ours. You kept burning ours down to keep us from prospering. Because every time black people went off to ourselves and started building our own, we were prospering and challenging you economically. When I looked into the lynching, a lot of people think lynchings were people who went out and committed crimes. You know who those were that were being lynched? They were black business people who dared to challenge white people economically. I used to notice, they would strip the men out of their clothes, but they left the women clothes on them. I noticed those black women that they lynched were very well dressed women. And I found out those were black business women. The men, like I said, they stripped their clothes off so we couldn't tell. But the women, they left their clothes on and they were well dressed and they were business people. They weren't people who just committed crimes because they were doing very well economically. And a black person at that time doing very well by themselves was a crime, really. Maybe not have been written down, but it was a crime because the law enforcement helped to enforce it. They dropped dynamite on Black Wall Street. Like I said, there were many Black Wall Streets in this nation. Out in California, out west, they had black cowboy towns back at that time. Black people have always sought to go get their own. You wouldn't let us. Like I said, they after they saw you wouldn't let us, then we were paying taxes to go for libraries, parks. You wouldn't let us access them. That's why King and Martin Luther King and all them started integration. We're paying our money for this stuff, but yet we can't use it. And now many black people pulling back from integration. We'd rather be out to ourselves too. So you're not doing nothing smart. Just do like you've been doing. You've been having all white towns. Just let us have all black towns if we want to. See, you let us have them. It's the ones that you helped create, where we all live in a certain area, and most of it is in poverty. If we created ourselves, it's not going to be poverty stricken. So that's what they say. They don't mind us having our own black town, as long as we take over some old wreck that takes something they're leaving behind. But see, anytime they leave a city and leave it to black people, it's already in decline. And we have to keep it on life support, like East St. Louis. Black people have had it on life support. If white people had this, white people had towns like East St. Louis, but they don't know how to manage it. It goes under. But see, they know if we go and get a black town, we start on our own, we're gonna prosper. So they like us taking over something like East St. Louis, Washington Park, because they know there's gonna be a lot of people go get those houses who can't afford them, or they can't, or if they can afford the house, they can't get a loan to fix it up, or they give it to a lot of people who own Section 8 and renters, and those people don't take care of it like a homeowner would. So they know what they were doing. They want to keep you in poverty in all black towns. Instead you go start your own. I see nothing wrong with black people going to get in their own towns. Again, try it again. Because they come and try to burn some down this time. This is not 1921 or 1925. This is 2025. You come and try to burn some down now and see what happens. You're going to get burnt. You and yours. So we don't play that no more. Those people back then, I understand they just wanted to try to get along. They figured if they left you alone, you'll leave them alone. But they forgot how diabolical you are. Yeah, they forgot how diabolical you are. They shouldn't have, after all they had been through, but they did. And back at that time, that's all they wanted to do, just live their lives and make a living and have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but you wouldn't allow them to do it. Not unless it was under your terms. So go off and have your white towns. Y'all on social media talking about black people are angry. We don't care. Most black people don't even know about it. See, we don't think about you like you think about us. We don't troll your social media pages like you troll ours. You say we're inferior while your mind's on us all the time. Ours is not on you. Go get your towns. And most of you white people want your own white town. Most white people don't even want to be around you. Those sundowns towns, those are little wrecks black people didn't want to come to anyway. What they want to be at night for? Don't even know why you was there. Oh, Redneck Junction. What we want to be there at night for? Or day? You say that stuff just to make yourself feel good. Just leave us alone. And we'll leave you alone. One guy told me, he said, well, if you don't like white people, why y'all all up in our cities, in our stores? And I asked him, first of all, it's white people who say you don't like black people. We don't like you because you don't like us. Other than that, we wouldn't care. And I asked him, I said, who does those black people be with when they're in your town and in your store? Other black people. They're not there because of you. They're there because that's where the stores are at. That's where the stores was at. They wasn't there for you. So stop patting yourself on the back. We don't care that much about you. Now, your type, most white people don't care much about you. Well, I won't say most, but a lot of them. A lot of them would want to live in your all white town because they know what type of people you are. So just leave us alone. Everybody, just leave us alone. Let us mind our own business. And then and the Latinos about we're next. They've been on us for 500 years, you for 5 months. And now you are the next. They still on us. You see they counseling everything about black people. Anything that's got to do with black. They can't do anything to us physically right now to remove us, but they're trying to remove us from everything else. So they never stopped with us. It's just being done in a different way. So we don't have time to help you. You didn't help us. We're going to help ourselves for a change. That's all I want to hear about. What's going on with us? Because if alligator Alcatraz was built for us, you'll be helping the sinners there. Because in Los Angeles, when I lived out in Los Angeles, there was white policemen there then, but now most of Los Angeles police force is Latino. The majority, I think it's like close to 60%. And they give black people hell out there. Look at the policemen who have killed black people. They have many of them have Hispanic surnames. They're spitting on black cops out there, calling them the N-word. Why come they didn't spit on the white cops and call them names? They're the ones who are deporting them. They're the ones who are setting the policy against you, not black people. When I worked with Hispanics, we had to bust a few of them up. They want to try to talk against black women. And we say, hey man, what's your problem? You ain't gonna sit up in my face and talk against our women because really they're insulting the race. It had more to do with me than just the women. Because because the black women give a white man and have to talk about us. The white man tell us. But but the but we but they talk about how bad the white people were treating them, but they saved all their hate for black people and try to assimilate with the white people. And they then takes me to my you talk about is race all the time. Everything's about race. That's not all I talk about, but right now it has to be addressed because a lot of things about race is going on right now. Just like if the presidential election was going on, people would be talking about politics a lot. Yeah, I talk about race. I don't talk about it in my private life because what I talk about here and what I do when I get off has nothing to do with each other. I don't even mention Trump when I'm not doing, when I'm not in this type of forum. I don't even think about him. But I'm here right now, and I talk about whatever I want to. I talk about race, Trump, or anything I want to. But but yeah, we don't have any. You look at those Indians coming in now. In India, black people treated horrible there. They're treated horrible. In China, Russia, all over the world. And you know what? Even in Jamaica and many of these Caribbean nations, they don't want us there. They come here and they try to assimilate. You notice all the reggae concerts black people have. Do you see any real Jamaicans there? They don't want anything to do with us. Africans, you quit listening to stuff on social media and trying to make a policy out of it. Some of the South Africans say black people say they're not coming to their stores. Then you know that's a lie. Black people will go to your store because you black. Somebody they want to go to war with. They call us now foundational black Americans. They want to go to because we have founded this country. We have built it. So we have a foundation here. Go to war with us. The white people came into your country, took your land, your resources, and still controlling it economically. They treat you like nothing in your own nation. They're 1/8 of the population, still control 96% of the wealth, 75% of the farmland. You got them that treating you like that, and you talking about going to war with us? Some folks who haven't done anything to you. And when it comes to white folks, you're scared. All over the world, black folks scared to do something to white folks, but you do something to other black people quick. In South Africa, during apartheid, they had what they call a necklace. They put it around on the people who's collaborating with apartheid. They take a car tire, put gasoline in it, light it, and put it around the person's neck who's helping apartheid. You know how many white people got a necklace? Not one. All black people. But we got to get the collaborators. We're always so busy looking at for the black collaborators till we never get to the people who they're collaborating with or for. Because you know you have to kill some white folks and you're scared to do it. Bible does not say that. Say unalive some white folks and you're scared to do that, but you don't mind unaliving your own people. You have to you are some of the most silliest people I've ever seen. If you think like Nelson Mandela, I think he was an idiot. And I'll tell you why. I told you this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison because he wouldn't denounce violence as a way to end apartheid. He said he wouldn't do it. What happened? After 27 years in prison, he denounces violence as a way to end apartheid when he could have done that and stayed out of prison in the first place. What kind of sense did that make? You spend 27 years in prison, and then you end up doing just what they asked you to do in the first place. When you didn't have to spend a day in there. And you want a man like that running your country? That you going to speak against us who haven't done anything to you? That don't even make sense. So quit, and black people didn't say that. So cut that foolishness out. We don't want to go with war with you. And then she tell me we got 63 million people in our country, but you're not in your country. You're here. We don't want to go to war with anybody unless we have to. We will. That's why you see, and you don't want to go to war with us. The white folks don't even want to go to war with us. That's why they talk that mess, but you see they don't do it. Every time they talk about starting a race war, what do? Go kill some white folks. Somebody want to start a race war. Like we supposed to care. You know why? We're untested in battle. They don't know what's going to happen. Oh, we got the overwhelming force. We got the army. Look how many other people you brought your army in against. And end up having to get up out of there. We're untested in battle, and therefore the only person who actually killed a black person, the black people we know of, They may kill some black people, hide them somewhere we don't know about it. How's that gonna start a race war? But the what's his the Darlin Roof? He killed some 9 black people in a church. But you notice they didn't make a pattern of that. They got him and they put him in jail and put him on devil real quick. Because they know that better not become a pattern. Or you're gonna get a response. And they don't know what the response is gonna be. So we don't bother anyone. As a race, we're some of the most compassionate, kindest people there is. I'm not talking about us individuals who go and do something. Black people as a race are very kind and compassionate people. Because if you see what you see in even our cities, the white people who are homeless has to come around us to get help. Because they can't get help from you. They have to come to our towns. We let them come in here, act crazy, walk all up and down our streets crazy. You wouldn't allow no black person to do that. You won't even allow a black businessman to walk down your streets. You let people come in our neighborhood passing out literature and masks, but then black person can't even walk through a neighborhood without the police jamming them up. How much their constitutional right? We don't have no assault rifle on our shoulders with a mask on. But isn't it our constitutional right just to walk in a white neighborhood? We need to start treating people like they treat us. We're too compassionate as a people. Now, white people are the exact opposite. They're very kind, very nice, make good friends, individual. But as a people, they're diabolical. I have some white friends, good people. But I hate to see what happened as the numbers increase. I remember, I tell you why. Even though I have white friends, we still got to look out because tell you something my white friend did though. When they was having a teacher strike over at the school, they would come into our building. You know, the teachers they couldn't go in the school, use the restroom. They come here and sit in the air conditioning, use the restroom, sit in the lobby and talk. The black teachers and the white people sitting in there talking. I left to go somewhere. I drove by the school. All the white teachers, you thought they was in a little camp. They were like in a little camp all by themselves. See, as the numbers increase, people get tribal. I had a white friend, and he said, and this idiot Bob Romantic, many people, he's passed on now. Many people say, may he rest in peace. I hope he's feasting on some hot tamales. But they said they would watch his show. It's two brothers, and one said they said he said he noticed during the riots they didn't get work boots. I said, first of all, it wasn't no riot. That was a protest. The protesters didn't go loot or rob or anything, and because people who are working don't need to go and steal some boots. And I tell them, I say, you be around black people. You know that most black people work. Why would you say something like that? And then another one said, they said they need more black policemen. But are they qualified? And I asked him, now this is supposed to be a friend. He's got to watch them too. So I asked him, I said, how does a policeman become qualified? Don't they go to the police academy? He said, yeah. I said, or they come from another department, but they've already been through the police academy. Isn't that how aren't they qualified? He said, yeah. I said, how does the black people policemen get hired? Don't they go through the academy or get hired from another department after they've been through the academy? He said, yeah. I said, well, he said, yes. I said, well, why is the white cops qualified and the black ones are not when they go through the same process? Because they white. So you got to even watch it when they're supposed to be your friends. But people have certain things ingrained in them. Because, we're black. It's certain things we have white friends. It's certain things we say, just the way it is. But we have to stop. Many of the black people who are leaders. I know I'm looking off a lot, but I got a lot of different monitors I have to look at, a lot of different other stuff. But we the I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? You know, we have a lot of people who have a formats. Some of the supposedly black leaders, they give these false narratives sometimes. They make you think that black people are interested in certain things we're not even interested in. We're not interested in who go get their own towns, which they already got most of the nation anyway, off to themselves. They're not satisfied unless they have everything. They have you think. Do you know that most black people were against integration? That's right. Most black people didn't want integration. Instead of coming to the swimming pool, they want you to build us one. Build us a library that's just as good as yours. They wouldn't worry about going to the lunch counter at Woolworth. They can go to the soul food restaurant. Most black people went for integration. And do you know that when Martin Luther King was alive, most black people couldn't stand him? Oh, they just talk all that love talk now. Most preachers wouldn't even let him in their pulpit. They used to see Martin Luther King on TV. Oh, that old King again, starting up trouble again. Why don't he leave them white folks alone? He gonna get us fired. But now everybody love him so much. But if you see a black person fighting for your people, even if you don't agree with his methods, don't do things against him. At least they're doing something. We all don't have to be doing the same thing or fighting for the same cause. So what was the point in even speaking against him? Because scared of white folk. That's what it was. You were scared of them. Like the Hispanics, they're scared of them. That's why they come here try to assimilate and act like they're white. And when it comes to us, and even the Indians, some of them as dark as us. Their hair is different, their skin texture is different. But they come here and try to assimilate, be like white people. But they're finding out when push come to shove, you're not white, and they're gonna remind you of that. So don't come running to us. Tell me where you at. Where you think we at? The same place we was at when you didn't want anything to do with us. That's where we were at. That's where we're at now. And we're at peace. They're hitting us right now, just not the way they're hitting you. They're eliminating everything that's got to do with black. They're trying to defund black people, but it's not working. No black people losing jobs. They thought that white people was going to see. Let me show you how stupid Trump and all of them are. They thought that when they stopped DEI and affirmative action, white people was going. That's the only reason black people got hired on good jobs. They were going to start getting fired. But black people benefit very little from that. Some black women benefited because remember back in the 80s, black women was getting most of the jobs, federal jobs, because they saw them as a double minority, black and woman. And some of them have lost their jobs because most black people making six figures was working for the federal government. And some of them may have lost their jobs, but no, but by and large, it's not hurting us. It's not hurting black farmers because they didn't get government subsidies anyway. They weren't able to send their crops over to Africa and different places. They had to use the local market, and they're doing just fine. They use machineries. They mechanize their farm to pick their crops. You want to use that cheap Hispanic labor, and now your stuff is dying in the fields. And if you're waiting on us to come pick it, I think some farmland is going to come sell real cheap soon. And I hope the black farmers buy it because the government You can look it up yourself. It's documented. They've done everything they can to make sure that black farms fail. They didn't want black people farming. They don't want you owning the land. They want you working the land. Sharecropping, that was like semi-slavery. My grandfather, Frank Duncan, he was a sharecropper. Remember when they used to say black people, they wouldn't allow black people to take their crops to market? A lot of those black people were sharecroppers. Only the landowner could take it to market. That's why they had a lot of children back then. They was birthing farm hands. Yeah, but they don't want to see you owning these things. They just want you to work on it. They think they're gonna bring these little cheap manufacturing jobs back. China's laughing at the United States. A 21st century economy doesn't do a lot of manufacturing. Up and coming economies does a lot of manufacturing. Remember with the United States, Trump said he wanted us to go back to the 1890s when there was tariffs and manufacturing. We don't live in that world anymore. That's why he want black people to go back and work the land. When have you known white people to go backwards? He the only white man I know talking that. Black people talk it a lot. Well, going back to some, you see, we don't even do it. We just talk it. If you know Japan was once a manufacturing company. Used to be everything made, now everything you had said made in Japan. The cheap stuff. But Japan's economy evolved, they stopped all the manufacturing. China has an evolving economy. It's not a 21st century economy yet. They're getting there, but that's why they're doing a lot of manufacturing. But as soon as they evolve, they're going to stop all that manufacturing and send it off to other countries, just as Japan had to do. But China, they'll never catch up to the United States. I explained about a month ago. China has economies half that of the United States, but they have almost 9 times as many people. I explained this once before. But let's say I got 9 children, not counting the adults. But I got 9 children. You got one. I make $100,000 a year. You make $50,000 a year. How are you catching up to me? Even if you start making $90,000 a year and I still make $100,000 a year, you're still not on my level. I got one mouth to feed. You got 9. They'll never catch the United States. Trump is helping them along. But the United States is far ahead, though. And I really don't care, to be honest with you. I'm not concerned about the United States being a superpower. I'm concerned about us being able to prosper. You see the French and all them living better since they stopped trying to be a world leader, living off the wealth of Africa. And now Africa is shutting that down. It's about time they woke up. Let them rape your land out the oil. Well, I can't say that word on here. You let them all word to your economy, your resources all this time, and you just not waking up. It's just certain words we can say because of the algorithms. And you have to say unalive or the R word. Sometimes I forget. But yeah, it's about time they woke up. So why you got beef with us? The Jamaicans said, some Jamaicans said, the black people here don't have a homeland. We don't have a nation. That's what they said. We do. It's called the United States of America. Why is it ours? We was here at the founding of it. We built the White House, Like I said, black people was doing most of the building, the slaves and all, until the buildings start getting mechanized. Black people laid the foundation, the streets in Washington D.C., built the White House, built most of the plantations. Remember that plantation that burnt down that black people was clowning all over social media? It tells you that it was built by slaves. One Latino said black people didn't build anything. You only picked the cotton. See, that shows how dumb they are. That's why they stopping this woke, talking about this woke stuff. They don't want people woke. Because they know how dumb you all are. Very little you know about black people. Many white people don't know about how black people towns was bombed and burnt, and people killed. They don't know about that. And they're trying to make sure they don't know about it because see, many of them was waking up and learning about it and start siding with black people because black people stopped protesting after Michael Brown and Ferguson. White people was doing most of the protesting for us. But a lot of people didn't realize that. The people that went up in that police stations in Minnesota, ran the police out and burnt it down, those were mostly white people. Black people couldn't have done that because black protesters don't do that. White people, when the white people got involved in the protest, there was some violence going on. People getting killed, like his name Kyle Rittenhouse killed that Jewish guy. Black people see them with them guns, don't pay them any attention. We just keep our hand on ours and don't pay them any attention. Like I said, but them, because I don't protest, because I don't believe in peaceful protest. So I never did get out there and protest. I go out there and I document it. That's my job. I documented some of the No Kings marches and, those, I didn't see many black people out there, which I think was good. Because I was out there with the camera. I was the only black person out there with the camera. And they kept looking at me. I saw a few black people who allowed themselves to be used. They put some black people right at the front carrying the banners. So I was a black person on the banners and a black person on the bullhorn. So when the police come, they just start beating people and after people, who they go after? Usually the people carrying the banners and the people on the bullhorn. Stop letting yourself be used like that. But you don't know they're using you. But they are. I heard them on the news talking about all the disenfranchised people, people, spokespeople speaking about the march. They'll mention people of color, immigrants, the homosexuals. They'll mention everyone except black people. And you asking us to come out there? Now, I'm not going nowhere, and I hope other black people don't. I know there's other people who have been on a broadcasting a long time who you respect saying for us to go out there. But I don't care what they say. They're not going out there. I'm telling you to. There's a there's many of them on there saying, many people saying sit down, you going out there and help out. But they're not going out there to help out. They're saying we don't have time to put boots on the ground. We got important things ahead of us. We can do both. We don't have to stop living. Keep living just like you always have been, but be ready. Because if black people stop living our lives and stop enjoying ourselves because we got some problems, we will never live our lives and enjoy ourselves. We have always had problems and we will always have them because there will be no equality. There's never going to be equality in this nation. Anytime you have two things that's different, they're never equal. And who determines this one who's in control of the narrative? And we're not. The best thing for us to do is build our own stuff up and try to take care of our people. Set some standards for ourselves instead of just doing things any kind of way. You cannot you can build all the structures you want to talk about revitalizing your community. But if you don't have any standards and rules by the way you govern yourself, which we don't, you're not getting anywhere. We'll be right here in the next 100 years talking the same stuff. You know, that's how everybody talking about building the community. That's all they do is talk. They haven't done it yet. You can't build a community with you build communities with families, not baby mamas and daddies. That's why that's why the Hispanics and Mexicans will come in LA in a few years and took over the black side of town. They got families. This nation is built around families, not around single people. But they want black people to stay single because single black women spends a lot of money and help fuel the economy. They spend a lot of money frivolously, really. But I guess they don't think. I guess it's not frivolous if that's what they want to spend it on. But but everyone else and they build around families. White people beginning not to marry much. Even if you don't get married, you have a commitment with each other. You can still build a family. A lot of people afraid of getting married now. They don't. People be in a 10, 15-year relationship can't stay married for 3 years. Want to divorce after the mortgage get paid because there's something within people where they like chaos. They like people who feed that chaos. Many people, and when you're an emotional people like black people, a lot of them like people who feed that chaos. That's why they can stay with them longer. You know, it's the people they talk against being no good and all that. They stay with them the longest. The people who just say they were some good stay with them hardly no time. You still needed that chaos fed. I've had women tell me, I don't like you because you don't want to argue. Why you want to argue? Why you can't be with a person in peace? No, I'm not going to sit around and argue just to be arguing. You ask me something, I agree with you, then you change in your next statement, you change, move the goalpost, change the narrative so we can be in contention about the same thing we just agreed on. I know it when I see it coming. I'm going to have to take a quick break and I'll be right back. You know, there's going to be a national night out tomorrow at 86. This for the people in the St. Louis, St. Louis area. There's going to be national night out on 82nd and State tomorrow from 5 to 7. So come on out. That's what this commercial is going to be about. Which one am I supposed to touch? Got so much sitting over here. Oh, right here. So come on out. I'm going to run this commercial about national national night out. Okay, that's going to be from 5 7 p.m. at 82nd State. So come on out. You have a good time. It happens every year. Sponsored by Community Development Sustainable Solutions. So come on out and enjoy yourself. I'm sure you will. I put my cash back up. I usually put that up until I have guests. But I'll put it up this time because I need this to start supporting itself. That's why they shut down the cable channels. They weren't supporting themselves. And I can't keep sinking money into something and not getting a return. Because, let's face it, people don't watch cable anymore. They don't, I don't know anywhere where they have cable anymore. Try the cable or Spectrum. WSL 993 and WSL 984. But I just couldn't keep running them out of my pocket and not making any money. That's what it's all about, making money. I may start back doing the high school games this year. Myself and Ken Bug Watts. We talked about that today. I didn't do any last year. I did one. I did one. But we're gonna Ken Bug Watts and I may start back doing them this year because they brought these folks in from the NFHS, the High School Association. But the people are not getting the games live. They say a lot of times they don't see the game till a week or two later. Yet they claim it's live. Mine were live. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a contract with the district for a while. But you know what happened? I had a white guy as my announcer. Many of you know who he was, R.J. Krause. They thought because he was a white guy that he was running because they always think the white person is in charge. They gave me contracts and everything. I guess they thought I was running for him. After he died, I couldn't get any more contracts. See how we are towards our own people? I couldn't get any more contracts after the white man died. I had another white guy going around with me, helping me do things. And, you know, many people thought that he was my boss, even people that know me and know what I do. They still thought he was my boss because he's white. See, one thing you have to realize about us, we came up through the white supremacist ideology just like white people did. We heard and seen the same stuff that they did. So many of us got it in us, including me. It was a lot of stuff I had to get out of me, but I still got some. I have to check myself. Because I remember when I was coming up, all we saw in school books was white people. We only heard about one black person, that was Crispus Attucks, the idiot black man who was the first person to give his life in the Revolutionary War, fight for the white folks fight for independence. And he was the only one I heard about. I didn't know about slavery until I got high school age. And I wasn't no dummy. I was smart in school. But I didn't know about slavery until high school age. You only know what's taught, and they didn't teach it at home. And then when Roots came out, a lot of people were angry, even adults, because even the ones who knew about slavery, they didn't know about the depths of it. Roots showed the depths of slavery. That's why many people were angry. Roots showed the depths of it. But so that's why now they couldn't make all of that. But the thing about it is this with black people. We got black schools, we got districts ran by black people. We can teach what we want to teach. Don't mean we have to stop teaching black studies because other folks stop. They stopped Martin Luther King holiday, we can still have it, even if it's not a national holiday. Look at the way the Hispanics have Cinco de Mayo. It's much bigger than Juneteenth. You have more black people at the Hispanic holiday Cinco de Mayo than they do at the Black Liberation Day of Juneteenth or at Kwanzaa. It's not a sanctioned holiday, but look how big and popular it is. But see, when we always want the government, we're so anxious about being accepted by white folks that we want the government involved in everything that we do. That would ruin abortion. Women were getting abortion all the time, but they want the government involved and want the government to pay for it. But when you get the government involved, they're gonna have their guidelines saying you tell a woman what to do with her body. They're not telling you what to do with your body. They're telling you about that fetus. If you didn't have that fetus in you, they wouldn't care what you do with your body. I'm not saying that because you have to get your wording right. Because they're not telling you what to do with your body. Get the wording right. Because what they got going on now, these women need abortions, can't get them, have fetuses dying in them, and, and can't get an abortion. They took it too far. I'd rather see Roe versus Wade is reinstituted than what we got now. And see, and in during that period, close to 30 million, there were 30 million black women that got abortion. Now, you all know you all wasn't raped and they wasn't incest. So I told some women this must have been like 2001, we read a panel discussion. And I told the black woman this. I said, you all going to ruin abortion because you're using it for birth control and that's not what it was meant for. You know they got mad, started hollering and fussing. And sure enough, they said, well, but abortion was meant just to kill black babies. It wasn't meant for that, but it was happening that way. So the reason they say that, there was this group headed by this white woman, and they said they wanted to see black people get abortions so they can kill black babies. But it wasn't sanctioned by the government, I'll tell you why. In the beginning, black women weren't included in abortion. It was uh, Dorothy Height. She was a black feminist. Her and Maxine Waters was a freshman Congress person in her first term. They took it all the way to the Supreme Court for black women to be included in abortions. So that doesn't sound like a government that was trying to kill black babies. That's why we got to get all this conspiracy stuff together, you know. We were too much into conspiracies. I'm going to get on, talk about that in a second, about conspiracies. Then we have, but and then a lot of black women was getting late term abortions. There's some of it was because they got angry about baby daddy, they didn't want the baby no more. But what happened was black women was getting health care later. And they found out about the pregnancies later. See, there's just no one answer to everything. They found out a lot about, or they went to the doctor and found out there was problems with the fetus later. It wasn't all about them just because they mad at the baby daddy. It may have been some. Don't just try to put it all one way like black women just stupid or something. Even though they do it to us, we're not gonna do it to them. Black man when he do something, he just stupid. He just no good. There's no explanation to nothing. But yeah, many of them they was learning about their pregnancies later, and then they found out about medical. They got medical attention later. You can't make healthcare uh, difficult for many people and expect them to be able to respond the same way that you do. So that's why many black women was getting late term abortions. They found out about it later, or they found out about medical problems later. So I shouldn't even brought that up about the baby dads because I like to talk about things that's consensus of the majority. Because there's always gonna be some people do some things that I shouldn't have even brought that up about because that's a minority. women. Now we want to stick to what the majority do. The majority of black women was getting late term abortions because they found out about the pregnancy later or found out about medical issues later. That happens when another person has inferior health care to yours. I need to take a quick break. Give me about a few minutes and give me about a minute and I'll be right. I'll be right back. I think it's gonna be some food, entertainment. You enjoy. They're gonna have the helicopter landing. So come on out and enjoy yourselves. Children, bring your children, grandchildren. Have a good time. This. Edit timer up. Oh, let me take that down. I hit that by mistake. But yeah, we're gonna I need to stop drinking while I'm doing these shows. Make me have to take a break. Yeah, but yeah, come on out tomorrow night, man. From five to seven at 82nd and State. I think I'm gonna do a live show from there on National Night Out on Saturday the 9th at New Shining Light Holiness Deliverance non-denominational church at 740 Broadway in Venice, Illinois. They have a program called You Can Begin Again. Those who are drug addiction, alcoholic, or just maybe have problems, even mental problems, any type of problems. If you're feeling depressed, it's a very good program. I'm going to have some literature and more about it. I'm going to do another show before Saturday. And then because it's really big, you'll see a flyer about it. Or maybe I make a reel about it. Um, it's a New Shining Light Holiness Deliverance non-denominational church at 740 Broadway in Venice, Illinois. That'll be from Saturday the 9th at 3 p.m. Bishop John H. Williams is the pastor, and the organizer of the program is Minister Harold. I'm going to say my old friend name who passed. It's Minister Fred Harold. That what made me think of. I was going to say Harold Lowry. It made me think of Harold. Minister Fred Harold. So come on out and that I think it's a very good program and check it out. Okay, back to what we was talking about. Checking my cash up there. I got that up because I want this program to start funding itself. It will eventually. Because when I first started off this once before it was like this. But what happened is I stopped for COVID, and then I just do one every so often. My viewership went down. Hopefully it'll come back up. But yeah, we're gonna have keep on talking about our people. I am, because other people are talking about us, trying to get us to do things. If we want to get out there, we'd be out there. We started out that didn't do us any good. Black people was out there in Ferguson for months, every night. They brought in armored personnel carriers, National Guards with rifles. It didn't make them any difference. They did not care. And then this outcome was the same. We have to think of another strategy. Those old 1960 civil rights strategies aren't working anymore. They're not working anymore. We have to we have to think of some 21st century strategy. And until we do, we best to lay back like we're doing now. But we don't want you down there getting bit by alligators, getting out there and that stuff. They're waiting for you to get out there. So that's what people, these other podcasters and all, are not telling you. They're waiting for you to get out there. They're perplexed right now. I mean, they don't know what's going on. Black people mind their own business. Now everybody got something to say about us because we mind our own business. Just like you minded your own business when we needed you. Like I told you before, I lived around all these type of people when I lived in Los Angeles. They hate the as we call now, the foundational Black Americans. They hated us and still do. The Dominicans, not the Dominicans, the Haitians. They got the nerve that can't stand us. And if they're only here because of Jesse Jackson. I told you this before. Bill Clinton, when he was running for president, I think what's that? There was this guy. I can't think of his name. But he was leading Clinton. Clinton wasn't doing very well in the primary, running in the primaries. Jesse Jackson went to Bill Clinton and said, if you allow the Haitians in, because the Haitians was getting turned around. A lot of them was drowning at sea in those old raggedy boats. And he said, if you allow the Haitians to come in, I'll support you for president. Black people were even protesting on behalf of the Haitians. Clinton agreed. And when Jesse Jackson backed him, that's when the rest is history. That's how the Haitians were allowed to come in. Now they want to talk about us, like they too good. Jesse Jackson and all them went down to the border. Protesters only have on behalf of the Mexicans. Why? I don't know. That leads to go down there and protest at the border. But now they want to talk about us. The Jamaicans, we don't have a country. You got the United States of America. I mean, if Jamaica's so great, why are you coming here? We just go down there to visit the beaches. Don't go in your neighborhoods because we may not make it out. But we don't go down there to stay. And one thing Mexico is doing, though, there's a lot of United States citizens who are in Mexico illegally living down there. And they're going to see about start deporting them because the living is cheaper. See, let's say you're retired here in the United States. You get your retirement. But that retirement money you get here can give you a good life down in Mexico. And a lot of people from the United States are down there, and they're down there illegally. You can get your retirement money and go move to certain parts of Africa. You can live good over there with the amount of money you be getting. You can live good if you can get your money to come there. Or if your bank work over, I'm sure it would, but you can live good. I know someone who moved to Gambia. It's not a very wealthy nation, but they living good there. See, what you have to realize is this. You gotta watch how people gauge a nation of wealth. You got some people because they don't have all the stock markets and all, they like the United States and all, they seen as poor. But those people living how they want to. They don't want a lot of people don't want the stuff you want. If you decide to build a factory with this land and someone you decide to build some crops and feed people, both of you doing what you want to do with that land. At least his crops not poisoning the atmosphere. But those people build stuff there, but because they don't have the wealth that the United States have, it's supposed to be a terrible place to live. But he's living good there because he's retired. He get his money, retirement money, and it's causing him to live good there. I think he worked for the school district. So everything you can get your money, from the bank. The bank is worldwide. And he's living good there. So the way he's living has answered my question. You can get your money. So if people decide to leave the United States, I see nothing wrong with that. Ones who want to stay, that's good too. I was thinking about leaving for a while, but if they give me $1 million in reparations to leave, I'll leave. That's about the only way. They love to tell me go back to Africa, but they're not putting their money where their mouth is. I told me to go fund me, and if I get at least $1 million, I'll leave. You want us to go on that bad? Pay for us to leave. Pay for us to leave. Pay us $1 million apiece. $1 million per family. With each child, for the $1 million for each adult, $100,000 for each child. We'll leave. I will. I'm talking about child, even if it's an infant. At least $100,000 for each child, and $1 million for each adult. That's the only way I see myself leaving. Other than that, I'm staying right here. Unless I have to run. But see, I'm afraid that in Africa, a retired person may be okay. But if many of the younger people go over there, have certain skills and start getting, as the numbers is, people don't mind as long as it's a few of it. But as the numbers increase, people's attitude change. If you go over there and say like you're getting the better jobs, those people, the natives there may get angry, and then that's a long way to run. At least here we got nowhere to run. Over there, you don't know where to run. People behind you, and you run into their house. You can't swim back here. You be joining your ancestors in the deep. So I had to rethink that. And if I say something, I think, but it's still good for those who want to do it. As I say, for $1 million, I'll go back, and it don't have to be Africa. It can be, anywhere. It could be Canada. Canada, I know, is also a white nation, but they treated better up there than here. you have your problems even if you go to Africa. I heard something they call it people from here foreigners and charge them double for everything in some places. Now that's what I heard from some of the people who supposedly lived there and came back. But I want to go over there and find out the hard way. So but we can go anywhere in the world because we're gonna have problems. The black people in England have problems. Black people gonna have problems no matter where we're at. We can be around our own and still have problems. Gotta watch all these different monsters. And so it's up to you to decide what you would want to do, and whatever you decide is the right thing to do for you. Because no one else can tell you what to do, where to live, where to go. Because everyone don't see things the same. And facts is facts, but when it comes to things about what you personal things like that, you have to make up your mind for yourself. When I say give me $1 million, I get up out of here. Canada's too cold for me. I couldn't do the Canada. That's too cold for me. I need a warm climate. That's why I like Southern California. I wanted to go back, then COVID hit, and now it was very bad. COVID was very bad out there, and now they have some big problems out there. The National Guards, and, some really big problems. And the Hispanics out there, they're protesting and they got the U.S. Marines out there. Now I'm not going to be in that mess. If I do, I'm gonna make sure I stay away from downtown. And see that protest that they were having, they fed the Mexicans fed right into their hands by firebombing and burning up police cars and busting out windows. They played into their hands. That's exactly what they wanted them to do. And black people are not gonna get up. Black people don't. The protesters don't do violence. The black people, you don't see protesters leaving the line going fighting and looting. But there was other people doing that. Matter of fact, in Ferguson, it was the protesters who got tired of it because the police couldn't do anything. They left the lines and stopped the looting. That's how it stopped. Because see, when they're protesting, the looters and those causing violence take away from their cause. That's why I don't go out there with them because I don't believe in peaceful protest, and I don't want to bother what they're doing. I go out there and I record it. I don't get involved in it. I just don't think protesting does any good myself. But I wouldn't want to stop someone else who want to do it. Maybe they think it do some good. Maybe it do it. Maybe it does. But I just don't see it. That's why I say then our people. One thing about black people, what they're doing, what the Hispanics are doing, they're flying other. One thing about black people, we're the only people in this nation who has never flown another nation's flag. The white people fly the Confederate flag, which was the cause of the deaths of hundreds of thousands of citizens here because they were defeated in battle against the United States. So while they still allowed to fly an enemy, the victor allows the people they defeated to fly their flag over their territory, like the Confederate flag. You got the Mexicans flying the Mexican flag. Black people don't protest like that. We have symbolic flags like Juneteenth that's used for the holiday, just like people have the Cinco de Mayo flag for Cinco de Mayo. You may have a sorority; they have their flag when they have their event and march in a parade, but they're not flying it like it's another nation's flag, like the Mexicans are doing. And we can't be a part of no mess like that. Burning up police cars and fighting with police. Plus the Mexicans, excuse me, the Mexicans were spitting on the black cops, calling them the N-word. What the black people is not the cause of what's happening to you. Why come you didn't spit on the people who's the cause of what's happening to you? But when the majority of cops out there are Hispanic themselves, why come you didn't spit on the white cops? Call them names. You're afraid to. You're afraid. Everybody's afraid of the white folks, except us. We're the only people who have actually ever really fought back in some type of way. Everyone else just took it. The Mexicans only fighting back because they're attacking you. We gave you your rights from the Civil Rights Movement, the Bill of Rights. We gave them your rights. We helped you to get your rights. You and the people of color who hate us also. Because look, black people, they try to talk against us. But we're supposed to be inferior and you superior. We don't have to have our morality and our fairness legislated. We don't need a Bill of Rights to make us treat people right. We don't have to have a civil rights bill to treat you civil. We may do things to each other as a individuals, as a people. We don't harm anyone. We help people as a people. But we need to cut that out and start helping ourselves. Yeah, we don't have to have our morality legislated. You gotta make a law to make us treat you right. And you still won't do it. Still won't do it, even though you have to make a law to do it. I think that's a pitiful people where your morality has to be legislated and made a law before you can treat people right, but still can't do it. And if they take that law away, you regress and start doing it again. Which I have to give white people credit. Most of them are not. They're still this white people are still hiring black people. It had nothing to do with no affirmative action or DEI, and they're still treating black people the same. Most of them, those who are saying stuff, they say stuff. They don't come to us with it. They don't want that dome split. But a lot. See what they were counting on. They was counting on white people had evolved. Some of them was the place. It was to the place they were just hiring black people. It had nothing to do with no affirmative action or DEI. Most of them didn't even know nothing about it. Because black people didn't benefit from that stuff much anyway. White women mostly benefited from it. They're the ones who lost most of the jobs. But but white people went on like business as normal. Everyone did. Most people did. They thought that without a law, black people was gonna all get fired and go work those farm jobs. But it didn't happen. That's why, like I said, the woke program, they don't want white people to learn stuff. Because a lot of people started learning and then started helping black people out. Just about took over Black Lives Matter. Most white Black Lives Matter protests were white people. I've been told you many times about the one I recorded in downtown St. Louis, about 600 people. The people on the stage were black. I turned around to shoot the audience and couldn't find a black person. So white people didn't respond how Trump and all them thought they would. They did the opposite. They thought most white people hate black people like he do. And only dealing with black people because they have to. But he thought wrong. So I commend white people for that. Because with black people, we got more coming from more of an ally in white people against other white people than we do people of color or Hispanics and the mother folks. Everybody like to mention that LGBT. Because I'm gonna tell you why I don't mention that. I don't mention it in the same sentence with black people. And I'll tell you why. Your sexual preference and all that is not on the same level as my race. So I'm not gonna even mention you. Y'all get mad if you want to. I don't. That's why I don't mention you in the same sentence. Your sexual preference is not gonna be put on the same level as my race. I don't care about you getting mad about it. You doing that. So stop that. So it's just like being black. No, it's not. So that's why I don't even mention all that. No, I mention when and then I say homosexual. I don't say gay. I say homosexual because that's what it is. And y'all get mad if you want to. I don't have nobody to fire me. They take me off this, I go to Roku. I got a Roku station coming out. Go to that. That's mine. Let's get that website done. And I fire the cable station back up. And don't have the cable station. I know don't as many people watch cable station, but I fire it back up because I said how I want to. Some people call me anti-Semitic. How am I anti-Semitic when I'm telling what somebody did? Jewish people, when they say stuff about black people, they say stuff about Muslims, they say stuff about other people. You can't say something about them and what they're doing, and you only come after black people. You don't come after white people. White people say all type of stuff against Jews. You don't say nothing. As soon as a black person says something, they gotta lose their job, their contract. You can call me whatever you want to, because being Jewish is a religion. Do the Jews like the Muslim religion? See, they don't tell you that the Jews are persecuting Christians over in Israel. They don't tell you that, do they? Persecuting the black Hebrew Israelites over there. They don't tell you about that. Those sound like the people of God to you? What they're doing to the Palestinians, just wiping them out. A whole race of people. And everyone sitting back watching. That sound like God's chosen people to you? It tells you there will be those inhabitants of the land who are Jews, who say they are Jews, but they are not. They are impostors of the synagogue of Satan. Since when did Jews been Israel become an all-white nation? It never was. Abraham was from Iraq. He's born right outside of Baghdad, the father of Israel. King Solomon was Ethiopian. See, things were never done out of race. The white people introduced race as a way to persecute people. People had wars over ethnicity and things like that. But the white people was the one who took it to another level and started persecuting people because of race. Because those other people had different races. But that don't sound like the Israel that God was speaking of to me. That sound like the imposters to me. And if this is God chosen people, I gotta find me another God. Look, because I don't have to find one, because those are not God's chosen people. That's Israel, but those are not the people of God. Oh, well, I know I'm gonna get reported. I don't care. Want me the first time, want me the last. I just jump from platform to platform. I got different platforms I can go to. That's when I get that Roku station. I pay for that. I say whatever I want to on it. I say whatever I want to on here. The one thing I do like about Facebook, I mean, reason I used to have a lot of different Facebook pages. They used to put me in Facebook jail almost, well, for 30 days a lot. That's why I had different pages. But they don't do like they used to. They may flag me for this, but for what? People talk about black people, they don't get flagged. And on Facebook, they used to put me in Facebook jail for stuff that I shared from another Facebook post. They were just on me. But but they don't do like they used to. But look, when people talk against black people, they don't get flagged. They don't get kicked off. I'm not saying anything derogatory when I say about what a person is doing. But I say I don't like the way the Jews are treating the black Hebrew Israelite over there. What that got to do with hate? The only hate I see is the way they're treating them. Ariel Sharon, when he was the prime minister of Israel, he said the PLO was bombing people in Israel at the time, putting on those suicide vests. He said he'd rather deal with the PLO than look at the black Hebrew Israelites. Did they call him anti-black? I'm good with y'all say. I talk about whoever I want to. I'm not defaming anyone. I'm just telling the truth. White people can talk about Mel Gibson. I told you about him. He said I made the movie anti. He hated Jews. He made the movie Passion of the Christ. So he produced that movie to show how Jews killed Jesus. Yeah, he used to always say, how they put the Jews in the ovens and Hitler did that. He always went around Hollywood asking Jews, "Are you an oven dodger? Like, did you escape getting killed in the ovens?" There was a white policeman. They had him on video who stopped him for DUI. When he found the policeman was a Jew, "Oh, you just an effing Jew. So you Jews are responsible for all the modern wars," and was cursing the Jews, cursing them out, calling them all kind of names. You know what the Jewish Defense League said? "Oh, we know Mel didn't mean it." You haven't heard any more about it. But every time a black person just mentioned, Whoopi Goldberg said that Hitler was killing the Jews not because they were white, but because they were Jews, which is the truth. She had to apologize for saying that. It was true. Black people can't mention Jew without having to apologize. But I'm not apologizing for a damn thing. I say what I want to say. But because I'm not defaming anyone, I'm telling the truth. And if you can show where I'm lying, well, I'm still not going to apologize. I'm saying what I want to say. Because I wouldn't be sorry. I know I'm not lying. Uh, but um, but she had to apologize for that. But Reverend Jim Jeffries, this white guy, he always says all Jews are going to hell. When they opened the embassy up in Jerusalem a few years ago, he gave the opening prayer in Jerusalem at the embassy. This rabbi who always said all Africans are animals, he gave the closing prayer. So it seemed like your cry of anti-Semitic, you pick and choose by race who's anti-Semitic and who's not. Black person can't mention Jew without them have to get on their knees and beg. I'm not getting nowhere because everything I said I can prove. And anybody don't like it, they know where they can go and what they can kiss. Because I'm not apologizing for nothing. Because everything I said is true. It wasn't said out of malice. It was said out of facts. So, getting back to what I was talking about. So that's why I was saying we were talking about those all white towns. Go get them. It's nothing new. Because once you leave out of metropolitan, most white people live in all white towns now. Like I said, once you leave out of these large metropolitan areas, just white folks got all kind of places they can live, just be around nobody but white people. When they put all that time on we're starting an all white town, that's just to try to get a rise out of people. Who cares? We tried to live in all black towns. She kept turning it up because we were doing so well. All out west in California, cowboy town. But Black Wall Street not the only one. You wouldn't let us live in peace. From after slavery to the 1930s, you wouldn't let us live in peace. You don't mind black towns unless As if it's some place you done left and left us the crumbs, but most of the people living in poverty, you don't mind all black towns then, but you don't want a prosperous all black town that we start on our own, not something you left us. Most of the black areas and black towns now is something you are that white people left us. We need to stop taking what they left us and start our own. Tell them we're gonna rebuild East St. Louis. You're not gonna rebuild nothing. Black people have never rebuilt a town that went down. You need to start something new. Rename this town and invite more better people in. You're not gonna rebuild this town. We haven't done it yet. In the history of towns that black people took over from somebody else, it's never been rebuilt. You need to stop playing with yourself and face the truth. Let this die and start it over again. Something we start. Oh, I know y'all don't like to hear that, but it's gonna die anyway. Then you have to start with some standards. Our people have no standards, no rules on how to conduct ourselves. Everybody do what they please. You cannot build anything like that. Everybody's doing it, say please and saying nobody better not say nothing to me. That's why you got all this fighting going on. People doing something, folks disrespecting folks. Everybody got bad tempers. There's no rules of engagement. We don't have marriages because, well, how do black people go about getting married? Hispanics got strong family values. They have rules on how to get married. Now you go out here and date, build men and women building up your body count, having a bunch of babies, then think somebody want to marry. Used to be you went from your father's house to your husband's house, and everybody jumping around everybody. You can't build marriages like that. You can't build a community of baby mamas and daddies. That's not stable. You need stability. You need to build a community. Cause it's a joke to me. All these men out here talking about, well, we're gonna build a community. How you gonna build a community and you can't even build a family? You gotta build that first. You gotta build a family first. And when I say the men, because men are the builders. We're the builders. We build things. We built that democratic machine, and black women have dismantled it, treating it like it's a black girl's sister cause, and a lot of people stop voting, get turned off by it. You have to work from the ground level. You're not gonna get the vote out on social by using social media. Remember how the men them preaching commitment used to take people to the polls and be out there in numbers. We don't do that no more. Because Kamala had no business losing that election to this bum. She had no business losing that election. Hillary actually won. She won by over 3 million votes, but she lost the electoral vote because it's all rigged. The Democrat is a much larger, the Democratic Party is a much larger party than the Republican Party. But the Republican Party out strategizes the Democratic Party. We're trying to be all nice and fair and we're trying to follow the rules. When you see someone else is not following the rules, you got to rethink. If there's no more rules, then you got to make your own rules also. If there's no more rules, you can't say, I'm going to follow this rule. When we used to have kids playing basketball, I was with R.J. Krause. We taught our kids to follow the rules. We taught them to follow the rules because these boys was from the streets, but we had them playing by the rules. Well, sometimes we would go places where the referees, we played a lot of the Catholic schools, but we were independent. More like a community group. The referees was allowing them to play any kind of way. And we would tell referees, say, don't you see that? Look, we teach our kids to play by the rules. Now, if you playing by the rules and the other people are not, that put you at a disadvantage. And so when they let it keep it up, we just cut our boys loose, and they forgot our boys was from the streets. We let them go out there with that street ball, then we get ahead by about 50 some points. Now they want them to play by the rules. And we were playing Catholic school who practiced every day. Sometimes we just picked our boys up out the street. You don't want to go play. But see, but the point I'm making though is that I'd rather do things by the rules. I always do things by the rules. That's one thing I hate when I see people come around and they don't want to follow rules, follow policy. But if you're gonna have me follow policy and rules and have other people doing things how they want, however they want to, that's gonna put me at a disadvantage. So I'm gonna have to rethink and find another way to get things done. The Democrats are trying to follow rules. The Republicans are not. The courts don't mean anything to them. The Constitution. So you're gonna have to rethink and find another strategy because the rules are not applying anymore. And when the rules don't apply, some new rules that is going to have to be made. That's one of the things if you notice when you try to when you follow the law. Well, criminals don't have a law to follow. And then the police will come and see if you happen to hurt one of them or something, and see if you did something. Now you got to have this textbook to follow, which most people, when you're under attack, you don't know nothing about no textbook to follow. You don't, but they're trying to find something on you. But that criminal, they didn't have any rules to follow to hurt you, to put a crime against you. But you got laws you have to follow to thwart that crime. So that puts you at a disadvantage. So that's why I say stay away from unruly people if you can, because if you're trying to obey rules and they don't, that put you at a disadvantage. I know in this world you can't stay away from all unruly people. I say if you can, again with matters that really affect your life. Now some of the stuff that won't even concern you, that's different. But when it comes to matters that affect your life, try to stay away from unruly people if you can, because they're gonna have you they're gonna put you at a disadvantage. Like they did our boys at basketball. We had to cut them loose and show them know we can play your game too. And but back to what I was saying though is that about them wanting to create the white towns. As we know, the majority of white people in this nation live in all white communities anyway. There's all white towns all over this nation. You don't have to build any new ones. Once you get outside the metropolitan, black people live mostly in the metropolitan areas, the large metropolitan areas. Once you get out of that, you don't find black people. So I don't know what they mean by all white towns. We don't care anyway. We tried to have our own black towns. We had burnt out every time when we were prospering. But look, I'm gonna call it a night because I got some things I have to do. That's why I came on earlier than I normally do. I have a few things I gotta take care of tonight, and a lot of editing I have to do. So I'm gonna try to be back on before the weekend. But on a Saturday or tomorrow night, there's National Night Out on 82nd State from 5 to 7, and then on Saturday you at New Shining Light Holiness Deliverance Non-Denominational Church. You have the you can begin again program at 3 p.m. where it's helping people with. You may not be addicted to drugs, alcohol, or any type of substance abuse, but if you feel depressed or anything, you can go there and to that program, and maybe it will help you out. Then I have a brother; he's a pastor at New Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church at 43rd and Converse. Stop by his church if you can on Sundays. At the services start at 11 o'clock. I think Sunday school at 10 and services start at 11 o'clock. Pastor Roger Allen, that's my brother. So I guess I talked enough tonight, but I hope I got my point across that let's not let people try to people trying to do everything they can to agitate us and get us out doing things. Right now we're just chilling and see what's next because we are under attack. We're not just sitting around not right now they can't really attack us physically because we're not immigrants and we're not doing anything. They want us to get out there in the streets and do something. But they're attacking us by eliminating everything that has something to do with us, all rights and bills and everything that has to do with by eliminating us, but it's not affecting us because they white people not responding like they would. They're not responding as racist as they used to. Many white people are our allies. You go to the average black family reunion, you see white people there. You go to the average white family reunion, you see black people there. You go to the average black church, you see white people there. You go to the average white church, you see black people there. So, things are not as fractionalized as they thought it would be. They thought when they ended certain programs that all black people was going to lose their job and go work the farms. But it's not happening that way. So let's just be cool and do like we're doing and don't get involved in all this stuff. Because we can't get involved in protests where they're flying other nation flags. We've never done that before. People have flew Confederate flags, which is another nation's flag that was defeated by the United States. People have we've never flown another nation's flag. We're the only people in this nation who hasn't done that. The Jews have flown the Israel's flag. The Palestinians have been here. They've flown Palestine flags. The Koreans have flown Korea's flag. Chinese in Chinatown has flown China's flag. We're the only people who haven't flown another nation's flag here in this nation because we have something in common with white people. We're some of the founders. That's why many people now calling us foundational blacks, foundational black Americans, because we help build. The white people start building, like I said, when they get mechanized and have machines. They use us for the machines to build. So that's why we're now called the foundational black Americans. And we do have a home nation. It's called the United States of America. Because if we built it, if it's not ours, that means it's not white folks either. Because we did the same thing that they did. Help build it. These other people come out here to live off the fat of the land. The Jamaicans, they talked about us. They're the ones said we don't have a homeland. All the other immigrants came here, even from Europe. All the other immigrants came here to live off the fat of the land. We didn't. We helped to build it. So I'm gonna call it a night, and I'm gonna try to get another program in. Maybe can't tomorrow night we got a national night out. Maybe Wednesday, and depending on what I see in the news, I have to come up with the topic. I'm looking. I got so many monitors I have to watch. I got the Facebook monitor, the YouTube monitor, and so I'm gonna call it a night, and I thank you all for tuning in. I talk so long when I'm by myself, and I do shows with other people. It don't last as long. I'm not really a talking. I've gotten used to talking. I used to didn't talk this much, which I'm glad it's this way. But when I have, like I said, when I have guests, I stick to my narrative more. When I'm by myself, I kind of jump around, which I don't mind. So I'm going to sign off, but check back with me next time on No More Water Fire next time. I appreciate you tuning in. So good night.